welcome to Building on the Light podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Renee, and I'm excited to have with me today Nancy Stevens. With more than 20 years in holistic wellness and leadership development, Nancy holds certifications in life coaching, mindfulness, trauma-informed yoga, health coaching, and breathwork, including training with the Institute for Integrative Intelligence. I'm so excited to have Nancy here to talk to us more about somatic work and its role in our emotional, mental, and even physical healing. So welcome, Nancy.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I'm looking forward to sharing and unpacking all kinds of nuggets with you today for all of the listeners here. So,
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. So I was thinking that for first, a lot of people don't know exactly what somatic healing is. So maybe first you could tell us about these somatic wellness practices, right?
yeah.
And then maybe a little background, like how you discovered them and their healing properties.
Hmm. I'll start with it's easier for me to kind of share my story first.
Okay.
Some people are like, okay, what's she talking about? So years ago, I was a busy young mom with four very busy young sons, and I had no understanding. If you would have said the word somatic, would not. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that? So I had absolutely zero foundation. I did know a little bit about what yoga was. But other than that, it was just I didn't have a connection really. So on this day, we had just moved out of state. We had no more support for our sons. I was it. And I was starting to get, tired, stressed. I was like, wow, oh, I need to do something. So I joined a local gym because they had daycare. And I looked on the schedule to see what class I could take that had daycare that fit in my schedule. And that happened to be a yoga class. I'm like, great, I don't care. I'll take whatever it was, I would have taken it. Um, so as I started going through the class, it was enjoyable. And at the end of the class, they do a process called Shavasana. Basically it's active rest where you are asked to either be seated lying on your back or in another position, and you're not needing to do anything. Turn the really soft music. You're just given a moment to be still and silent. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful practice. Well, during that moment, I felt just something deeply stir in me, and a tear rolled down my cheek that something in me had been opened up, that I actually mattered as outside everything I did for everyone, that there was something. Nancy came gently walking up the stairs, so to speak, and that began my rest of my journey that continues on through the day of learning what it looks like and feels like to tend to my physical, my external, and my inner body. And that practice, unbeknownst to me, was a somatic practice. We were,
Beautiful. That's
oh,
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story. That's a beautiful introduction to the somatic healing and the things that you have found.
thank you. Yeah, and there's that, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's many means of bringing that energy up in you because basically somatics is, I mean, it can be tangible, which is doing breath work or taking a yoga class, hiking, sitting in meditation, or it can be, working to bring in, your relationship with the creator, with your angels, or if you were of that faith calling. So it's a very intimate and personal practice that we all have access to.
Right. Can you talk a little bit more? So I think like you, most of us are more familiar with yoga,
Yeah.
right? We've heard more about that. But what other type of somatic work is there? Is that what you're talking about? Like hiking is a bit of a
I would
somatic
say
work type thing?
because with hiking, okay, with hiking or there's being out in nature, nature bathing, that would be a somatic practice. You can do journaling, you can listen to the music. Sound bathing is a somatic practice. When you are seated and you have a practitioner that hopefully has skill and they have singing bowls and they do vibrational work with that, that can be very deep work. So I would say yoga is could be considered that that's the one that's very well known. I think more and more people are coming to learn about sound bathing or singing bowls. We've
Mhm.
got nature bathing. I mean, just going to sit in your favorite park, or if you're a hiker, or if you have a neighborhood or a setting that's got some more quiet nature to it, that is a great way. So eventually when I started taking my yoga, we would do meditation. Now, again, we weren't given a topic or a mantra, but we were just asked to sit in stillness and silence. Anyone can do that. I think we did it in yoga. It was like a 3 minute. That's kind of what I teach. So that is a somatic practice where you're just being asked to chill, to turn off your mind and tune in to just being present. You don't need to have any special skills, training, education. You're just absorbing the moment and basically the whole awareness of having a somatic practice is to calm and quiet the nervous system, right? To
So,
connect.
so
Yeah.
the point then of somatic practices is to heal the body and spirit then?
Hmm.
Is
I
that
would
what
say,
it is? So it's like, because we
yeah,
tend to either focus on one or the other, right? We
yeah.
either are all in about the physical aspects, and if we're
Mhm.
hiking, it's about getting our heart rate up or just,
Yeah.
strengthening our muscles or whatever. But then there's also the other part. A lot of people, they just get lost in just the spiritual thing without the connection with the body. So the somatic brings those together, right? Is that
It
my
does.
understanding?
Yeah, yeah, it can be if you're taking a proper journaling class, you're physically writing, but you are kind of connecting with your inner self. So that physical writing, that's a connection. Doing breath work. Again, you're focusing on your inhales and exhales, but in a way that does the deep inner work of calming you, releasing things, maybe bringing a deeper sense of being aware in the moment. That's another, yeah. So we want to, maybe the outcome of a somatic practice is to put the somatic practicer in touch with themselves more comfortably and deeply. It's not necessarily like, oh, because I didn't know I needed to be healed. Like if you would have said that to me, oh, you're taking yoga to heal, I'm like, what? It fit on my schedule. I think as we are doing the work, whatever that speaks to us, we are intangibly and maybe tangibly receiving little healing nuggets because we are
Mm.
having a moment to just not be on the go, checking boxes, managing, caregiving, putting out fires, um, and that's one of the things of when I took a trauma-informed yoga class, that was the whole thing. It was somatic. They're like, we were using yoga and meditation, like, where are you feeling that in your body? So they asked us to note where we were physically feeling it. Was it achy shoulders, tight hips, upset stomach, or congested throat? Okay, we got that physical. Okay, now let's do some yoga poses here to take your mind off of that rumination and let's bring you in this moment when you feel, safe, supported, cared for. And that doesn't have to be with a class. You can get that same thing if you're looking for it, just going for a walk in your neighborhood. I like to sit in stillness and silence in the morning just to get myself ready for the day. But yeah, I guess we could say they all lead to healing, whether we know it that we are looking for it or we don't know it. As we process, little things can bubble up and have permission to leave.
Right. Like, yeah, and that's true. Even if we don't know we need healing,
Mhm.
a lot of the people I work with, very very much a trauma group. They're trying to deal with traumas and everything. However, it's life, and life just throws little traumas at us all the time. So I love that, being aware enough to grab, learn how to get in touch, I guess, with those little nuggets of healing. I think that's just beautiful. I'm really interested in the breath work. I have never really studied much about that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that. By the way, Nancy will help anybody do any of these things on a one-on-one thing on a one-on-one basis. So before you go into breath work, can you also tell us how people can reach you? And I will put it in our comments too.
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, which we can put that. It's just Nancy Stevens, Nancy Stevens Coaching. I have a website, nancystevenscoaching.com. I have a contact me button. I think there's a link to a Calendly link. You can connect that if you want to hop on a call and get to know me. So social media, primarily LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as well. So same thing, Nancy Stevens, my website. So we can connect. You can sign up for my newsletter. I send out a newsletter about twice a month, not necessarily looking to promote anything, but just sharing,
No. Well, I think
sharing little tidbits.
yeah, you have tools to share with people. So I just want to make sure if they're interested in learning more, that they have those tools, access to that. So
Exactly.
thank you for sharing that. But how do you feel about telling us a little bit about how breath work, what it is? How do you go about that? Do you have to have somebody coaching you, or is it something you can do on your own?
Well, I have an idea if you're interested in it. You and I can do a very quick little breath practice. That way the viewers can kind of, if they can do it themselves. And it just involves what I call we'll do the inhale for 3, hold for 3, exhale for 3. We'll do that for 4 rounds. It maybe a minute if you're interested. That's
That
an
sounds
easy,
lovely. I love that. Yeah, we can kind of give everybody a little
yeah.
session of
Get a little
how to find peace and
get a little something and you'll feel it. So, again, to get started, just notice where you are. I like to be aware that your feet are touching the floor. You want to be connected. You're going to feel your thighs and bottom on that chair. I don't necessarily want to lean into the chair, but sit up comfortably. You can close your eyes or simply look down at your thighs. So you want to just take away that stimuli of looking around the room. So eye close or look at thighs and just maybe move a little bit to get comfortable. And then from this moment, we're going to breathe from deeper from our navel area. So we want to kind of fill up that breath there. So we're going to take a 3 slower count inhalation breath from our belly button and bring that breath up through the top of our head. We're going to hold it for 3 and then bring that breath from the top of our head all the way back down. So here we go. Inhale slowly for 3 counts, filling your belly and your chest, your neck, your head, your face. Hold the breath for 3 beautiful counts. Slowly, without force, exhale the breath back down to that belly button area. And pause. We'll do that again. Inhale gently and slowly for 3 without forcing or straining. Hold that breath for 3 gentle counts at the top. Release the breath fluidly and fully back down to your belly for 3 counts. Pause. Third round. Inhale gently, softly, openly, and abundantly for 3 breath counts, all the way out through the top of the head. Hold gently for 3. Exhale softly with attention, that breath all the way back down, down to your belly. Taking that breath pause. If it feels available, placing one hand on your belly, perhaps one gently on your heart, and just spend a moment noticing, feeling, and allowing. And when you're ready, you can gently look forward. How was that?
that was amazing. That would be a beautiful way to start the day. I do my own kind of meditation, kind of making sure I'm centered and facing forward in life, looking towards my future instead of the past. But the breathing exercises, that was interesting, the connection I felt between my spirit and my body. It was just a peaceful, not overdoing, not trying too hard, just a peaceful connection. Thank you for sharing that. I hope that our listeners or viewers would be able to enjoy that and incorporate that into their daily practices, or even like with anxiety or stress. Or yeah, I love that. I love anything. It's something I've been working on a lot lately, is that spirit body connection.
Mm.
With the trauma that I went through, growing up, it just causes a division, kind of a break between that connection. And I think life kind of will tend to do that to us a little bit anyway. But I love that. I love that. What a simple way to kind of start reforging, that
Yeah.
connection. So thank you. That's beautiful.
You're welcome. And the breath is something that if you're driving, you have a meeting or something stressed, you can I'm doing that now more and more. Just take an inhale and let it go with an exhale. Oh, and you can automatically feel a diffusing or a dissolving of what could be ruminating thoughts or spiraling of the stress of being more and more. So the breath it's a physical means, but it just kind of helps to dissolve that fight or flight syndrome so you have more clarity and can move forward. You're not stuck in going more.
Right.
So, and you can do
Well, and
it
doing it, I'm
anytime.
sorry, doing it slowly like that,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel forced, like something that you would have on your list of things to do that you got to check off.
No,
It doesn't
no.
feel forced like that at all.
And it took us maybe 30 seconds. So even if you're
Yeah.
pressed, rushed, um, yeah, it's a beautiful tool. I incorporate it in my yoga classes. I just kind of weave it in, telling people, inhale, exhale, so that they will again have that experience of pushing away all the things that they did before class, what they're going to do after, and just give themselves access to inhabit their physical body. And if things come up that they want to process, that you feel safe doing it. Your breath is, to me, it's a safety net. And we don't
Right.
realize it because most of us breathe right here and here, especially if we're stressed out. We're like, breathing choppy. We're not giving ourselves that full capacity of expanding our lungs and heart. But yeah, it doesn't take any type of special knowing, training, or tools. It's just use your lungs in a way that promotes that spiritual or that nourishing or that nurtured connection. So you just got some
Good.
somatics.
Yeah, thank you. And peaceful. I think it
Yeah.
does matter on the environment. Either you could have music, or you can tell you do this because your voice is very calming, so it was easy for me to relax. But yeah, that I think that would be an easy, good tool for anybody that struggling with anxiety, or
Mhm.
just trying to look forward to healing rather than getting stuck in the muck of whatever they're dealing with right now. So thank you so much for that practice. I know when we visited before, you talked about the importance of finding personalized approaches that balance your body and spirit. And so I thought I would love to hear about, how do you find that balance? How do you find that balance?
That's a that is a good question. Because finding that balance is a journey. I guess step one would be to start becoming more and more aware. Maybe if you're being forced by a situation, or just looking for a means. Like if you're feeling that electric current of feeling stressed, if you're starting to have like insomnia or just again shortness of breath or just feeling tense, like if you're noticing, usually what's going to bring it is a catalyst is maybe you're going through a tough personal time, struggle at work, life has brought something to your life, and you're going to start like unknowingly like clenching, like going trying to protect, or you're going to project, or you're going to put a lot of energy out. Well, after a while, the body can only support so much of that. Then things start to to break down, it could be overeating, lack of eating, drinking, trying to go just stay up at all hours or losing hair, a lot of just all kinds of things. And those things kind of work to get your attention. Then maybe when you don't necessarily want to have that such a loud wake up call like that, but that's when you start to draw that line in the sand and look at, okay, wow, maybe step one is I want to begin to eat more healthfully. I'm stress eating, I'm whatever, or wow, I'm drinking too much, or, I'm overindulging or under. So then you're going to start to find your own path. Maybe for some, it's with what's called a, more clean or nurturing eating. Maybe it's somebody that's going to take a walk every day. They're going to bring the daily walk in. That was kind of my line in the sand. Maybe they're going to just find a craft a morning routine, a ritual where they're taking care of themselves before they take care of everyone else. That's really hard, especially for women. We throw the life raft out to everybody, right? Want to make sure everyone's done. We dotted our I's, crossed the T's. Great. Then I'll take what's left, or I'll do myself later. So beginning to give yourself permission to have a line where you know there's things that you can do for you that maybe if you're stressed for time, it don't take up a lot of time. It could be that morning ritual, the evening ritual, not needing to stay up late to get everything done and then going to bed and wondering why you can't fall asleep because your mind won't shut off. Creating rituals that nourish you, whatever that is, getting off digital, going to bed earlier, laying out your clothes, starting the day without digital or talking or turning all the lights on, just, you know,
Right.
stepping on toes. Yeah.
That's interesting that you said starting your day without turning all the lights on. I thought I was weird for doing that. I like a very low light so I
Hmm.
can journal. I can read, I try to do a gospel study kind of thing. And but it just kind of calms me into the day, instead of coming in, flipping on all the lights and
Yeah. That
so
to
I
me,
like that.
yeah, it could be, think about like there's little things we can do, just something like that, like experiment. If you're like, what does that mean? Well, obviously you don't want to get up in pitch black, but if you
Right.
have some if you get up early and it's the dawn, just kind of letting your body do its rhythmic thing. Like you don't wake up, well, maybe you do. You don't wake up bouncing out of bed as if you've been up for, 10 hours and you're just ready to go. You kind of hopefully wake up just wanting to move into the day. So let your body continue that by noticing if you're a light turner on her, don't turn the lights on and just let your body continue. Now you're up, you're moving, you're getting more blood flow, you're letting things move. See how that, see how that feels. That is something that's kind of one of my non-negotiables is I like to chill a little bit. Maybe if I need to for a minute, I'll have super low light. But I want to give myself, that's a ritual, give myself permission, no matter how busy my day is going to be, to just respond naturally to the natural, I call it the rhythm of life. I like to hydrate. That's another self-care ritual. Make sure you're hydrated. You've been sleeping all night.
Right.
You don't realize it. I mean, that's very basic. You can start there. But I think each of us are going to respond and start to experiment with things that we find meaningful. And then as you're doing those things, your body and your mind are going to respond. It's like, oh, okay, well, I want more of that. Or how can I, you know, it's an interconnected highway of what's going to soothe you and calm you. I guess for me, well, then also I set an intention about 2 years ago, like I want to bring in, no matter what's going on, a state of peace and calm that I can feel deep within me that's not related to whether or not it's peaceful and calm, that's not related to if it's super quiet, there's nobody at my house but me, but how can I intentionally cultivate that inner peace and calm so that if I have a bunch of information or just getting lots of requests or asks, that I don't become disconnected and scattered and then
Right.
unable to, you know, make an informed decision. So that was something that really helped me to be like, okay, I can feel you starting to get disconnected. What do you need?
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I love like there's several things that you have said so far that I really, really enjoy. But um I like that you talked about listening to your body and
Mhm.
finding kind of your own natural rhythm. And I think everybody's is going to be a little bit different, but to experiment with different things. Our life experiences, it's interesting, even though maybe they mostly affected our emotions, our spirit, our mental well-being, still physically, there's some kind of manifestation of that. And sometimes I feel like our body is just begging for us to listen, right?
Yep.
And it's good. Our body tries to take care of our spirit, like you said, hello, there's a problem here, you know, there's something you might want to look at, and so I love that about listening to your body. Do you have any clues, like, so you talked about kind of almost trigger type things
Mhm.
that are clues from our body that there's some kind of healing that needs to happen. Can you name like maybe one way that you can really look for that? Or
So, well, a physical clue for me, and there's multiple, is one of the big physical clues a few years ago was um, I had developed what began to be severe insomnia and my hair was falling out. So, at first I wanted to find a Band-Aid. What solution can I put on my hair so it'll stop falling out? What can I take? And then was trying to look for sleep aids. So I was wanting to go external because like, oh, I don't know, oh, it's not me. Um, so that was an external knock on the door that, hey, there's some things for you that are yours to look at and lovingly care for, not see them, not label them necessarily as a problem or an issue.
right.
Love to do. Oh my God, now what? But like,
I
oh, my
love that.
body loves me.
I just got to have you, let's say that again. Things for you to lovingly care for and
Yeah.
take care of lovingly, instead of beating ourselves up. Well, I shouldn't feel this way and this shouldn't be so stressful, or whatever. I love that, to remember to treat ourselves with love and care. I just wanted to make sure that got an exclamation point on it. Thank you. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yep. So that was a big one. Oh, here's another one, a really good one. So anytime we feel triggered, that's a hard one because we can begin to work on if we have that real trauma such as you had. Okay, you're in it, you're working at it, but then other things come up that I didn't even know was a trigger or something, and then maybe I'm feeling resistant or I'm angry or I want to get offensive or defensive or just makes me oh.
Right.
It's those things, maybe your response, your reactions. That is another, like somebody said something really good. I'm like, wow, your triggers are our teachers.
Ah, yes, yes.
And that was hard. I'm like, no, no, it isn't. This is cause that. Um, so when I feel what I call, a charge or whatever, then I'm like, okay. What is mine? What do I own in this? What's my story? What am I making this be, So I've learned, and it takes time because you have to do it with love versus pushing it out and away from you. I'm like, oh, what is mine for me to gently uncover and look at? Now, I'm not saying this can be the do all and be all because there are like you had deep trauma. That's not that's a whole other level. I'm not talking like deep trauma, but we have little things in our lives that maybe we can start to lovingly bring out. Connecting on, if your faith, if you believe in, God, source, creator, your angels, I guess for me, knowing, I call it my higher power, I call it God, but knowing I'm not alone. I'm
Right.
never alone. Um,
Right.
But, not everybody, we don't all have that. But for me, that began to help quiet and calm me, that I had somebody helping me.
I love that. I love that. I think honestly, however you want to define a higher power, I mean, it's been proven over and over again that we just have so much more peace and ability to find joy in this life if we do believe in some kind of higher power, some benevolent force that cares and is there with us, to help support us. That's really very important stuff. I love I got so many things I love about what you've said so far, but and what I really like is you hear so much about self-care, and women do have, we're nurturers by nature generally, and we do tend to put ourselves aside. Like I love playing the piano. Do you know how much time I spend playing the piano? Not very much, because it goes bottom of the list, because that's just something I want to do, which I'm trying to reverse that. But I love that the things that you're talking about, it's not like we have to do any major sacrifices of, not taking care of the people we want to take care of, or the business or whatever it is that we're taking care of. But these things, it's just 5 minutes of your time here, 20 minutes of your time there, the early, how you start your morning. And I love that it doesn't have to supersede everything else, but there's a way to find balance. So not only balance in our body and spirit, but balance in our giving and growing, for ourselves and others, right? That finding that balance there. So thank you so much for these beautiful ways to do it simply, not putting one more thing on the checklist that we have to do.
I mean, especially when I began my journey years ago, I'm like, where's the time going to come from? I'm
Right.
on my feet from year to year. So you don't want to that be a stress. Um, and it can, even if you are stretched for time beyond your wildest means, you can take a moment in the midst of whatever it is and just, I call it bringing your energy down. You can do it with your hands. You can just like literally bring it all back down into your midriff. Um, in the Sanskrit tradition or yogic tradition, we want to have a good, healthy flow of energy in our
Right.
body, which the breath brings that in, good thoughts,
Right.
being grounded. And we want to keep it the reason we want to keep it in our body, because when we are up here in our head, we aren't connected to our body. And how can we have clarity, make the next best right decision? How can we determine or discern when usually you just make it worse. I don't know about you, but I make it
Yeah.
worse.
Oh, I definitely, my head really can hinder my progress for sure, and my peace. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then next thing I know, I've lost what could be a day, half a day. So that's another practice that I've kind of incorporated. And again, if you're like in between meetings or between Zoom calls or before you meet with somebody, you can literally just activate your feet on the floor, feel your feet on that floor, say, okay, I'm here. And you can literally, you know, just bring the energy down and take an inhale, exhale breath. So again, it can be 2 minutes, 1 minute. If you're somebody that's feeling like, wow, I can't take another strong meeting or running back and forth, like we can do things driving to and from a meeting or in between meetings, in between, family coming, whatever that is, we can do that. I call it maybe the mindful minute, doing that little somatic practice. So we can stay, yeah,
Very good. I like that mindful minute, you
yeah,
know, not adding stress, trying to de-escalate the stress.
yeah.
I really love that. This has been wonderful information. I hope our viewers have enjoyed it, our listeners and viewers, because I know I'm going to start practicing some of these things, and, to help find more just peace in the days, right? In the moments. That's beautiful. So, because we're called Building on the Light, and the whole point is to bring people hope, things to hang on to, while they're working their way forward in life. What is your closing message of hope for our listeners and viewers?
Do you may be going through something that's unsettling, trying, challenging in this moment, and you may be all consumed by that, like you're in a box. However, what that moment is for what I've taught myself is okay, it's real, it's happening, but I know this is a moment in time. When this moment passes with what this is, I'm going to look back, and that moment in time is now the past. So, what can I do in this moment that may be a challenge, a struggle, really hard, whether it's something major? Maybe take that breath, take a quiet moment, love yourself. Um, put the best energy out there that this moment too shall pass. It will become maybe a story that you can utilize on your own journey and one that you can share to support others. And I'm not bypassing any of the major things,
Right.
not at all, but that has helped me when I've undergone some challenging times. I'm not using it to take myself out of the moment, but to know that how I am able to be in that moment with compassion for myself and others, with caring for myself, I can care for others and go through the moment as smoothly as I can so that I can be whole on the other side while working on that.
Right. I love that. I love that being whole on the other side. And I love the overriding message here about being compassionate with ourselves, treating all of these things, treating ourselves with such loving kindness, and with patience.
Yeah.
I like how these somatic practices kind of slow things down and help you be in the moment. It's beautiful, beautiful messages, Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us and helping us all find a way. We all need ways just to be able to hang on to hope during the more difficult times. And I really appreciate you being here to share.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I appreciate being a guest on your show and sharing some little tidbits to help anyone listening that wants to help themselves and maybe use this to help others. Because I can say I can't imagine not doing these practices now, and I'm so thankful that I listened to that little inner nudging or pushing just to bring this in when I didn't know what it was to where I am now. So this is for everybody.
Right, absolutely for everybody. And I love that there's so many practices that we can do that are for everybody, whether you're dealing with deep traumas or whether you're just dealing with busy life or corporate um, standings or you know what I mean, and all those kinds of things. So I think these practices are for everybody. And thank you for sharing. And thank you to our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to this episode of Building on the Light.